Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pokemon Masters. Everybody's most hyped mobile game of the year for sure. What is this? I have news. I don't care about the news. Make it okay. So today I'm just gonna be talking a little bit about what it is, what it does, the basics, bare bones basics, just so you guys feel comfortable starting. And then we can get into a little bit more in-depth stuff later. I do like this game a lot, so I'll probably be making some stuff on this. So this is your home screen. It's the Pokemon Center. You can see various trainers that you have recruited and or are just storyline relevant that just kind of hang around, like these guys. The little dude with his Bulbasaur right here. He wants to hear more from Mr. Hiker, apparently. Yeah, so there you go. So over here, this is the first actual counter. It's like a register type deal. This allows you to edit your team. I don't know why it's here, because, clicking the team button does the exact same thing. No idea why it's there. I guess it's just so you can feel immersed, because all the countertops do the same thing. So you talk to the Pokemon Center girl, and she sends you to the map to, like, play the game. But you can also do that by just clicking Explore. And it takes you right there. It cuts out the middleman. And then this is the shop, both the gem shop and where you pull. So if you want to pull, you go to Sync Pair Scouting. If you want to buy gems, you go to Purchase Gems. If you want to exchange items, so this is like to get evolution material and stuff with the gold that you have, or items that trade for gold, you can do it that way. That's for like level up and getting better skills and stuff like that, which is something we'll talk about another time, because, you know. Okay, missions menu. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's missions. You guys have played mobile games before. It's not your first time doing this. This is your friends list. Has all your friends on it. You have up to 100. Oop, I'll accept all these boys right now. Shoutouts if you saw yourself. You can accept up to 100. The decks. This is all the characters that you do and don't have. It shows you who you've got. Who you don't have is grayed out. So, like, I don't have Agatha or Mega Gengar, which sucks because they're pretty good. I do have all of these other people. Your bag is just your items. I think it's more or less just there to be kind of a Pokemon callback. It's not really anything that you use like Pokemon. You can't go in there and use items. You know what I mean? Game Center is just, I don't know why it's here. Account, this is how you link your account to like your Nintendo account. And if you do that, you get 600 gems, by the way. And then there's also this big old delete save data button. Don't click that button. That's a bad button. That's a button that deletes all your stuff. That's a button you click if you're re-rolling, and we'll talk about re-rolling in a little bit. That's a button that you click if you're re-rolling and you want to try again, but it doesn't go away when you're not re-rolling, just FYI, so be careful. So I'm going to go in here, and we're going to fight Skyla again, because this is just a straight-up gym battle, so you can see how gameplay works. Okay, so you see this little bar down here at the bottom, that's the blue bars. That is your action bar. And you see how on Energy Ball, there's 2? That's how many chunks of the action bar it takes to go off. So, you see how these ones don't have little energy bar chunks on them? That means you can just use them for free. So you click skills, and they go off, I believe, just in the order that they're clicked. I don't think there's anything, like, fancy to it. I'm going to let my energy bar recover naturally. I do have some skills that restore it that I'll show you in a minute, and it's why Rosa is as crazy as she is. So now we're going to use Unbreakable Bonds. Gives us a little tiny attack boost, and the gauge is restored. Some energy ball action on that little Fanfy down there. See if we can't take them all out with Snarl. So down here in the middle, which I should be able to use now, you see this little icon. That's called your sync move. So that's your big special. It's basically your limit break. And it usually has an extra bonus effect, either buffing people or, in Houndoom's case, it turns him into Mega Houndoom and it changes one of his moves. So you lose Bite, and you gain Dark Pulse. So it does a lot of damage. Pop time to energize. Swana's using a sync move, so that's probably going to nuke Servine. That's the downside to using Servine as your tank. In this fight, at least. Is that weak to Swana, which hurts. So yeah, Servine went down. And got rid of my buffs. You jerk. So we're going to drop Dire Hit All again, and then we're going to go after the little bug with Dark Pulse, try to kill it first. Is that dead? Yep, that's dead. Gonna drop a Dire Hit on myself. Go in for a Dark Pulse. The Brave Birds goes into Dustclaps. And then just in case it lives, we'll Unbreakable Bonds. Did not live. So that's the basics of how combat goes. I didn't really explain a ton of it because I think a lot of it is self-explanatory once you actually play. But the main thing is that action gauge. That action gauge determines when you get to move, and a lot of support Pokemon restore it. So you tend to build your teams in a way that lets you keep refilling that gauge. So like, for example, let me get through all this. Thank you. Most teams in this game are built with 2 sets of supporters and 1 Pokemon that does all the fighting. Because the action gauge costs the same across everybody, it doesn't really make any sense to have extra Pokemon there to fight that don't need to. So for example, on this team, Rosa and Phoebe are both here as just support Pokemon, while Houndoom and Karen do all the actual damage. I mean, that's just... It makes sense to build the teams that way because of the way the combat system works. Now, with a character like Rosa, nope, I don't want to switch her out, so I just want to see her stuff. She has this skill Time to Energize, which increases the move gauge of all sync pairs by 3. So basically, it fully restores the move gauge for 3 per people, but that's the cap. You can't get any higher than that, so I don't really know why it says it that way. And then she also has this X Special Attack All, which is her item, and it sharply raises the special attack of everybody on the team. So she's really good. She's an AoE buffer, and she restores the move gauge, and her Servine can go all the way up to Superior. So she's really good. Phoebe has a similar thing. She has a Dire Hit All, which raises the crit rate of everybody on the team sharply, so by 2. And then she has Unbreakable Bonds, which is the lower that her Pokemon's health is, the higher the move gauge and attack is restored. I've never had it not fully restore the move gauge, even at full health, so I don't think that makes a big difference. But I think because attacks are increased in stages in this game, just like the regular games, where like an attack buff move is a +1, and then you can sharp is +2. I assume it's just if it's below half life, you get +2, but I don't know the figures for sure. I just know that at full health, you get a +1 attack. You also have a Shadow Punch, which is kind of nifty because it never misses, but sometimes that's useful. There's a little Optimize button, and it lets you pick based on type. So like if we're going to go into that fight with Skyla the right way, like and actually build your team instead of just muscling through it, you'd probably do Electric or Rock or whatever to make the team perfect. Moves and skills. So you have, let me turn off my 5-star sync. So you have these little guys with the megaphones on them, and you can click on them, and you can use these training items, just a little training machine, to learn a new skill. So Take Flight sharply raises the defense of all allies and sharply raises the speed of all allies. It's a really good support move. Skyla's a really popular supporter. So if you click Learn right there, you'll spend the 5 points that you have to gain that ability. And then Aerial Ace never misses. It's another attack. You have to spend these materials down here, which you can get from the shop for coins, and sometimes from special fights. But the main ways to get it is from coins and event battles. Okay? I'll show you those event battles real quick. It's called Training Areas. There are specific courses for each type. There's a level up course for just general leveling, and then you can get coins, battle technique stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's good, is the point here. Sync pair stories. What this is if you ever played Dragalia Lost, when you pull a character, you can talk to them, and you have a little story about hanging out with them, and they talk about themselves a little bit. It's not quite as in-depth as Dragalia Lost. It's usually general Pokemon dialogue about how Pokemon are super awesome, and you're a super cool person if you like Pokemon, and they're your friends, and etc., etc. But it's still neat. And then this is also how you access evolution. So when you get a Pokemon to a high enough level, in Servine's and Snivy's case, it's 30, and I assume it's probably 30 for everybody since they're not going to make it specific. You go to the trainer, and then you can see Snivy's evolution, and then I think it's 50 for the second evolution. So once you get Servine to 50, you can do Superior. And you can do that with anyone that evolves. So like Chris and Totodile, they evolve the same way. I think Barry's Piplup evolves that way. I'm not 100% on everyone that evolves, but that's how you evolve. A lot of people are asking about that. So in the main story, you always get the character in the chapter. So Rosa, Barry, Flannery, Erica, Skyla, Pigtails, Rollerblade Girl with Lucario. You get all of these people when you beat their stages. You also start with Brock and Misty, who are not super great, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's talk about the thing that you probably want to talk about, which is who do I go for if I'm going to reroll? So let's go look at some characters. So Rosa is free. You get her in Chapter 1, like you saw. She's incredibly good. Everybody uses her. She's bonkers free. Phoebe here is, in my opinion, probably the highest value reroll if you reroll right now. Not because she's the best character in the game right now. I don't think she is. But she doesn't have any crossover with like other characters coming out because she's a tanky supporter, similar to Rosa, so it lets you double up. But the buffs that she gives are not the same buffs that Rosa gives. And the best character in the game right now, who in my opinion is Karen, is going to get outclassed very soon by Blue, who is dropping on the 2nd of September. So if you want to reroll early, I would just go ahead and go for Phoebe personally. It's my absolute number one pick. If you don't want to go for Phoebe or you don't have the patience to reroll for a single person, other really good choices are Karen. That way, if you don't get Blue, not a big deal. Brendan, who's also a really good attacker. Chris is okay. I think a lot of people don't like her, and I think that's a little bit overstated because I think she's pretty good. She hits really hard. She does a lot of really good physical damage, but she requires some support to keep everything going and some turns to set up to get things done. Noland is really good. He has got Pincer, and then after you use the sync skill, it becomes Mega Pincer. He's got a self buff with X attack, and he's got Fury Cutter, which increases in power the more turns that you use it in a row. It makes Pincer do really good, really consistent, fast damage. Gardenia is really good. She's a special attacker, sort of like Houndoom. So actually, Liza, only a 3-star, actually really good. She's got a special defense to all. And then I want to show you a skill on Liza that I think makes her a decent pick. I wouldn't reroll for her, by the way. This is just a good character. Out of the Mind. Sharply raises both attack and special attack of all allies. It's a very good skill, in my opinion. Not reroll worthy, but a good character if you have her. If you're going to reroll, you reroll for Karen, you reroll for Phoebe, or you reroll for Brendan, in my opinion. Chris, acceptable if you really like Totodile. She's not going to, ruin you or hold you back or anything. But other good characters, you got Liza, good. I think Marley is good with Arcanine. Roxanne and Nosepass are pretty good. A lot of the lower star characters are good support characters. Like 3 and 4 star characters and stuff. They tend to have really good support abilities or just be good in general. Or you get guys like Bugsy with Mega Beedrill, who actually is really strong. Sure Crit is a really good move. Guarantees a critical hit, obviously. Yeah, he's good. Will's really good. He's a character that you can definitely invest in. Oh, I forgot Olivia even existed with Lycanroc. She's one of the best physical attackers in the game right now. She is probably better Then Totodile, because Totodile takes turns to set up, and he doesn't really get good until way late in the game. Lycanroc stays good. I wouldn't reroll for her, I don't think. I think you pick Brendan, Karen, or Phoebe still. But again, if you like Chris or you like Olivia, you're not inherently wrong for doing it. Barry is also really good just as a free-to-play DPS, just if you don't want to pull at all or you don't want to reroll at all and you want to wait for blue to come out. Barry's your guy. And because people keep asking this a lot, the player character kind of sucks. He starts off kind of decent-ish because he's early and you get a free additional skill on him, but not very good. And everybody gets Whitney in the beginning. That's not like, oh, Whitney was my tutorial pull. Whitney is everybody's tutorial pull. And she is also not good. So yeah, building a team, it's the last thing I'm going to talk about. This is generally the setup that I think you want to go for. And I think most people online agree. This is the setup you want to go for. You have one damager, because like you saw in the battle with Skyla, Houndoom doing the damage was plenty. No one else really needed to fight. I think Servine attacked one time just because it had type advantage, so why not? And then 2 supporters. So Servine is really good. He's got that special attack up for Houndoom to make it hit more. Dustclaps has the crit up the crit chance. Servine and Dustclaps both restore the skill gauge. So this makes Houndoom have special attack up, crit up, and can constantly keep moving because it's not waiting for the skill gauge to restore. And you can generally build your teams that way. A lot of characters have that kind of stuff. They either have buffs, like we talked about with Liza, with that double buff, Out of Mind, or, where is he? Drake with Salamence. Salamence is really good, hard to starboard. Restores the move gauge and sharply raises the defense of all allies. Good character. Support's pretty easy to get. Well, obviously, because you get Rosa for free. But support in general is pretty easy to come by because of the lower stars of the characters. DPS characters are a little bit more difficult to get. It's kind of weird because DPS characters are a little bit harder to get, but once you get one, you don't want a bunch. I mean, you want more for like type matchups and stuff, but like having Karen and Blue and Brendan and whatever the other person I said, we'll say Chris, whatever. It's not that helpful to you in comparison to having Rosa and Phoebe and Skyla and all the characters that offer different kinds of support buffs, because you're only really bringing one damage dealer into battle. So stacking a bunch of damage dealers is not going to be as useful to you as characters that can help buff everybody, and then just let that one buffed attacker sweep the whole game. It's just easier that way. Keeps everybody up. It keeps your stats up, and you're not as dependent on killing the enemy really fast before they kill you. The only other thing that I want to talk about, because this is running kind of long, is how quote-unquote tanking works. There's not anything that's actual tanking. I'm sure there probably will be at some point a Pokemon with an ability that draws attacks to itself, or if there is in the game right now, and I just don't know it, sorry, maybe it exists. But the way that aggro in general works is that enemy Pokemon automatically target your tankiest Pokemon. So your like damage dealer, your fragile damage dealer, is not going to be something that they snipe down immediately. So that's why Servine is so popular, is because Servine / Superior or whatever is really tanky. And it's really good support. So the enemies go into her first. And then you have the second supporter like Dustclaps, who's also pretty tanky. So the enemies go into them second. So your team is always built in a way that your fragile damage dealer is never the target of attacks unless the enemy's using AoE attacks. Which sometimes they do, but not that often. So anyway, that was my sort of basics, sort of not, because I ended up talking about a lot more stuff that I wanted to talk about. Introduction to Pokemon Masters. Too long, didn't read. Reroll for Phoebe, reroll for Brendan, or reroll for Karen. Or don't reroll for anybody, and just use one of the top tier other characters that you get for 4 stars or for free, and wait for Blue, because Blue will probably be better than all of them. Alright everybody, enjoy Pokemon Masters, look forward to more stuff. Like the video, if you would be so kind. Let me know if you guys are playing, who you picked when you rerolled, who you're looking forward to. I know everybody's pretty hyped for Blue. That's a very hyped first unit. So I'm looking forward to Blue as well. Subscribe if you would like. You don't have to, but I would appreciate it, if you just click that little button and click the bell, because then you know when I make things, whenever the rare occasion that it is that I make things. All right, everybody.